Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is Whole Life Entrepreneurship. I'm Adam Anderson. This is my stunning, smoking hot wife, Carrie Anderson. What are we talking about today?
Well, we're talking about stress.
Oh, stress is bad.
Well, again, we've been in a series about ass. You know, that ass. We've been talking about the three things that a spouse and a business owner couple experience at the same time, but often in different ways. And those things are alone, stressed, and scared. Why, you ask? Did we call it ass? Because we wanted to say the word ass.
Yeah, I wanted, Karen was standing up in front of a whole bunch of CEOs to do a talk on, there were stresses in entrepreneurial relationships, and I thought it would be hilarious for her to say the word ass.
Yeah. See how hilarious that is?
It
so
is.
Now we get to say ass.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah.
Okay.
So, stress.
Oh, this is one we had. Let me see my little...
Reflections.
Hey.
We're trying to get the coffee cup in the shot.
You can't read it. It'll be backwards.
It says do epic stuff. All right.
All right. Well, so we wanted to talk a little bit about stress. Now, clearly, owning a business, having a business, those things are stressful. That they aren't. Life in general for everybody outside this door and inside this house, for that matter, is stressful. It's going to be stressful. I think especially as Americans.
America.
We are going 90 miles a minute. I mean, I jokingly call us a turbo family, but it's true. This week alone is going to be absolutely bananas. We have people in our house right now.
So if you hear thumpity thump thump, it's because they're kids.
It's a pitter patter of little feet upstairs because we have friends staying with us right now. But then tomorrow you're turning around and heading to
Croatia.
What exactly do you know about Croatia?
I've been there.
Have you?
Yes, there's a picture that we have. So I grew up in Germany. We travel all over the place, and this is when Yugoslavia and all this stuff was still put back together again. And since the Soviet Union fell, they broke up all of the Balkans. And so Croatia was a part of all this, and we have a picture of me, my dad, my mom, my brother in front of this beautiful bridge. And the bridge had been there for hundreds of years. The king who had the bridge built said, and speaking of stress, if this bridge ever falls, we will kill your family. That's working under
some pressure.
That's a deadline, right? So, bridge didn't fall until all the wars were happening, and they blew up that bridge just because. Got to stop people from crossing the river. So, I've been to Croatia. I saw a bunch when I was young. I'm excited to get back. I had no idea that this is where Game of Thrones was being shot.
That's exciting.
So, apparently there's tours.
That's awesome.
So, but we're causing quite a bit of stress. And the thing here is, stress, either being busy, which is the American disease, or is it, a lot of things are happening that have high stakes. None of that actually is important when we're talking about what stress actually is, which is your reaction to what's going on. So there's good stresses and bad stresses, and if you want to know the difference, there's no difference. It's just your perception about it, right?
Well, I think that there is a physical response that is the same. Whether it's good stress or bad stress. Your body reacts to it the same way. Your heart races. You may sweat. You might start feeling panicky. But the way you handle stress and the way I handle stress are very different. And I do think that it has to do just with personality. But I think, too, that there's this thing about entrepreneurs that they're able to kind of use stressful situations to their benefit. They're able to process those things a little bit differently. Remember when I used to tell you, I get nervous about such and such. And you said, you're confusing that. You're confusing that emotion. What that emotion actually is excitement.
Yep.
If you tell yourself that this emotion is excitement and not fear or anxiety, maybe the results and how you handle it will be different. But that's the difference. I mean, I'm just geared to kind of get about things, and you do it differently.
Yeah, most of us aren't used to that kind of emotion. And so when it comes up, we're like, what is this strange sensation? And if you know that that is your body opening up your adrenaline, that's opening up all the stuff, and the stress is flooding your body so that you are able to think better, able to react quicker, you're stronger, it's like you just got superpowers. When you react to stress in a way that what's happening to me physically is gearing me up so I am more than capable of handling this thing in front of me, then it's not a bad thing. And it's actually wonderful. Maybe that's too strong. Wonderful, is it?
Well, I do think that it can make or break your experience within something.
That's fair.
So I always, my whole life, had terrible, crippling, debilitating test anxiety. I would get so stressed about stuff that it affected me so physically, and not just for like the hour before the test. Do you remember when I was taking my nursing tests and how, I mean, I was a nervous wreck. But there's something about having been in a high pressure, high stress job, which nursing can sometimes be. There's something about it that kind of, I don't know, turns you into somebody who just allows for a little bit more flexibility. So I just started being a little bit more flexible within things, and it made a different experience. So by the end of the day, I wasn't exactly like exhausted by experiencing such high pressure stress. It was more like, wow, look how I turned that into productivity. Look how I turned that into a skill. Look how I was able to manage that and I account for it.
Yep. It's that perception change in your deliberate contemplation of what's happening and what am I going to do different. You didn't escape the feelings, I'm sure. It's just that you didn't get overwhelmed by the feelings.
Right.
And if you did get overwhelmed, you quickly recovered. Tie this back into the 3 C's. What do you feel like is important inside of the 3 C's, chill, communicate, community, that if you're not doing one of these really well, it makes the stress even more difficult? Or am I completely wrong, and this is, a completely different subject than what the 3 C's try to address?
Well, I think they can be tied together. I think it depends. There is a constant amount of stress that we all deal with every day. Sometimes that stress is just, oh my gosh, I gotta feed my kids again. They eat 3 times a day, y'all.
So often.
Every day, 3 times a day. It's stressful. Or there's an amount of stress, I think, like with a startup, for instance, where it's a slow burn. It's super exciting at first, and then you have all these deadlines, and then you have all of these things piling up on you, and then there's pressure on the other end about, is this going to be fruitful? Is this thing that I have blood, sweat, and tears for actually going to make it? It makes me panicky to think about, what if we had to let go of some of these projects that we have been putting so much, and that's like having a kid that I was like, meh.
Yeah, and
I'm just gonna let that one go. He didn't pan out, it's stressful. You really want these projects to work out, and it doesn't always happen that way.
No, and it's more like, so the thing is, in order to succeed at certain things, you have to burn the boats, right? You've heard that saying where the only way the Spanish were going to win against the Aztecs is that, these couple thousand guys landed and then they burned the boats. Because before it was mercenaries fighting for gold versus people fighting for land and life. And land and life will always win. And so this guy put the right kind of stress on his people by burning the ships. I think it was Cortez. I don't know. Somebody comment and tell me what I'm talking about.
Fact check.
Fact check that.
Please.
Right?
This is like Dax Shepard podcast. Fact check us.
Is it though?
Not at all.
So the punchline to that is that we manufacture if you are good at stress, then you can manufacture the kind of stress that's fuel for you and allows you to do the jobs you need to do, and you're able to have in your perception what something really is. Is it really that important? Who told me that that was important? Why do I believe that this thing should be stressful? Because 99% of the time, there's stories you're telling yourself that's enacting a reaction, emotion or a thought that then produce the reaction of the body saying, "You're screwed, brother.
Right.
Screwed."
But to your point about the 3 C's, here's what I find happens. That slow burn stress sometimes just compounds and compounds and compounds, and when no pressure is ever let off, right? When the pressure valve is squealing because there's just so much going on, then I find that I can sometimes snap, and that is not healthy. I do find that if I take time to really chill and figure out what does it for me, even this past week and a half when we've been at the beach, and I have been part of it having a working vacation, and then part of it just trying to enjoy our time together and with the kids and with my family. I find that I was kind of like, I need to work. I almost can't slow down enough, but I know that I'm not going to have any creativity if I don't give it time to rest. If I don't take that time and let it rest, then my creativity is going to burn out as well. And I think that that's just really, really important, especially when you're in the middle of a startup, when you're in the middle of life, really recognizing it. And then
So I'm hearing you say it's important to understand your chill and then to execute what you know gives you space and recharges you, because otherwise you can't bring the full you to the problem or to the opportunity in front of you.
So you can't bring your full self to the problem. Here's something that happened to me this week. It was funny. We had this rental house at the beach. I was by myself. I'd gotten the code to get in the door at the rental house, and the lady at the rental office said, take a picture of your code with your phone, because once the door closes, you're locked out. So if you have the picture of the code on the phone, you're fine. So I'm unloading my car, right? I'm taking everything into the house. And I plug in my phone to charge. I dutifully had taken the picture of the code as the lady had suggested. But then I plugged my phone in and I went outside to finish unloading the car. And the wind blew, the door shut, and I was locked out. I was locked out of my rental, my keys, my phone, everything was in the house. And I started the physiology of panic shuts down everything. You can't think. You cannot think. I could not think of a reasonable way out of this terrible mess I'd gotten myself in, because everything shut down. As soon as I sat down, I was like, all right, chill out. Think for a minute. There's a solution. You're not going to have to walk the 2 miles back to the rental company. There's a way out of this. Think about it. My iPad was still in the car, and I got it out, and by some freak chance was able to connect my iPad to my phone Wi-Fi that was in the house. Text my mom and have my mom call the rental company for a new code. It worked out. It was fine. But I mean, it took some creative thought to be able to get to that solution.
2 things you did there three things that you did there that were...
I was awesome. I was awesomer. I was awesome.
This is the most awesome ever. Recognizing that you're in a panic state is first. And you were able to say, oh, this is happening to me. Because sometimes when you panic, you're going to stay there and you're going to do the thing and but you didn't let it run away. You said, oh, I'm here. I honor the fact I'm panicking. Great, fantastic. I've checked in. My physiology is doing this. I'm doing all this. That's not helpful right now.
Right.
So the second thing you did was you were able to then hijack that the cortisol dump causing all that panic, and begin to self-soothe. That is fantastic. And then you're also way lucky.
Luck. And it was so funny because I knew my phone was inside dying. It was dying.
Quickly type.
I was like, Mama, hurry, give me the code. Anyway, but a similar thing happened. I tell the story in the blog this week from when Eva broke her elbow. She fell off the back of a couch. Super lame thing. Just dislocated her elbow. I knew as soon as I felt it that we were going to be having surgery that night. I knew before we even left the house, I knew we were going to be having surgery that night. So in spinning off and stressing out about what it meant for us to have surgery that night, to have a 5-year-old have to go into anesthesia, to what that would mean for months to come, completely spun out. Adam was able to stay in the moment and really be there for our daughter and not freak out and just handle it. You're very, very good under pressure.
Phew.
And then what happens? What happens a couple of days
I
later?
like to stay dead inside with a wrapping of humor and compassion to lighten the situation for as long as it takes for us to get out of mission critical or whatever's going wrong. So after our baby got home in her cast, everything that I was holding back, I just got a massive hormone dump and I was gone. Mm-hmm. That's when I started crying. That's when I began to feel the feels.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. In that story, I say stress will catch up with everyone eventually. Whether it's the momentary panicky kind, it's like having a workout, or it's that slow burn regular life that compounds. If you don't let off the pressure, it's going to get us later on. I mean, I worry with you because you have such a history of heart attacks and heart disease in your family.
Well, I like that. So the heart attack thing, right? Just boom.
Sorry, there's not elephants in our house. It's just children.
11 and 13-year-old girls. So we know them. They didn't break in, right?
Strange children. They're ours.
So the link that I put in the Facebook group
Right.
is to a YouTube video, and they're talking exactly about this heart attack.
Can you say
thing.
what the name of the TED Talk was for? Here, I'll look it up. You finish
I'll
talking.
tell you my story. And the study basically looked at some of the myths around stress, and that stress is a bad thing. And I'll jump to the end of the story. If you believed you had high stress, well, no, they measured, do you have high stress and do you think it's good or bad? And then they looked at obituaries. So they looked at thousands of people, asked the questions, and then looked to see who died. And the deaths of folks, the folks who had high stress and thought it was bad died a lot. But people who had high stress but thought stress was good had the exact same death rate of people who had little or no stress. So I worry about the amount of stress you're under because of heart attacks. That's true, but if you even have moderate stress but you get freaked out by stress, then that's bad. So it's not the stress that's the problem. It's how do I perceive the stress? And when you talk about an entrepreneurial relationship, the stresses that we bring into it, if we blow those stresses out of proportion, if we put so much weight on the things that are giving us stress, then we run the risk of antagonizing our relationships, of isolating each other, and just exacerbating that ass. And so where I would love for you guys and for us to really lean into is stress isn't bad. It's our perception of stress and our thinking about stress that is bad. And
I would also add to that in a couple situation, one of the things that is really key to point out here within that ass is that we're talking about how, and there's a range, right? There are couples who work together equally. There are couples who don't work together at all. There's a range. But everybody falls into their own roles. You're stressing about your stuff. I'm stressing about home stuff.
Yeah.
And I can't bring my home stuff to you. You don't feel like you can share your stress at work
This is stressing
with
out.
me.
It's a email.
It was a drop down.
Couldn't see the top of our heads. Yeah, we
that's
can't bring
the
each
thing,
other
right?
stuff, right?
Here's the thing with stress and within a relationship. All right, here's the key. If Adam brings me something that's stressful, what do I automatically try and do?
Make it better.
Yeah,
Take ownership.
yeah. And I can't.
And you then get resentful that I brought you something that you now have to
But
handle.
now it's my job. That's not the case.
Uh-uh.
That's not the case. That's not what it means to be there for somebody.
Yeah, and if you react that
Yeah.
way, I cannot bring stress to you.
Exactly. So that was huge within our relationship because we found that we were not sharing life together.
So good.
And I just really, really would encourage everyone. You don't have to fix each other. You just have to be there. You just have to be here and you have to say, man, yeah, that sucks. Let me know if I can help. I mean, I'm here for you. You tell me what you need.
There's a video you hate so deeply, and it's a man and woman sitting on the couch, and she's talking about something that's wrong, and
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
she's got a nail
The
in the
nail on
forehead.
the forehead.
She's like, I got the splitting nail, and he's like, do you think it might have to be about the nail? It's not about the nail. I just want to be heard. It's like, and so finally she gets to the point, and she's like, no, my sweaters are getting ripped up, and he's like, that sounds very hard. She's like, I just want to be heard. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
exactly.
And I lean forward to kiss each other, and the nail bops her, and she's like, ah! She's like, no. Anyway, I like that. It's fantastic.
Well, and before we wrap up, because we've got to make it short today, before we wrap up, for those of you who aren't in our Facebook group, but are just seeing this on our page, I wanted to mention something that Adam posted in our group this week. And it was the TED Talk, How to Make Stress Your Friend, by Kelly McGonigal. You can look that up on YouTube.
It's fantastic.
It's fantastic. Very valuable stuff. Next week, we're talking about everybody's favorite topic,
Scary. Fear.
fear. Don't act like you don't have something you're scared of.
Cockroaches.
Oh my gosh, y'all.
We don't have time for you to jump into that. Save it for next week. All right.
The beach has palmetto bugs. Doesn't make it any cuter. It's just a roach. Nice.
Okay.
So
Sign.
we'll figure out how we're going to manage our Facebook Live from Croatia next week.
We're going to do it great.
Hopefully your Wi-Fi is good.
It says the island has Wi-Fi. So if it doesn't,
Well, maybe we'll all get a little taste of what baby bathwater Croatia is like. I'm excited.
me too.
Yeah. Also, we are going to be launching very, very soon the date for our virtual summit. We don't have all the details for that hashed out yet, but we will be getting that for you soon. And we're super excited about everything we're going to be able to share with y'all. You are not even going to believe this.
This close.
Super close. So we so appreciate our whole life community. You guys are super, super awesome. Can't wait to tell you all my hopes and dreams and fears this week. So stay tuned.
Bye.
Bye.